Hi everyone. I wanted to record this video today to talk to you about money and the spirit world. And there just went my main slide. Okay, so I'm not good at slideshows. We're going to try to get through this. I want to talk today about how money works in the spirit world and how it works in the physical world. And in order to start this, first we have to talk about what is money. So money is three things. It's a way to measure value, it's a way to measure energy, and it's a means of exchange. It's a way to exchange goods and services and a way to trade things back and forth. Essentially, it's a way to simplify the barter system. So we use money to measure value. So the things that we value, we put a dollar amount on them. So in general, we all basically agree that a new iPhone is more valuable than a stick of gum. We agree to that because of an iPhone costs more than a stick of gum. So money kind of serves as a shorthand for that. We use it as a way to measure energy. What I mean is that usually, not always, but usually, a lot more energy went into making an iPhone than went into making a stick of gum. So on this, we talk about energy, the amount of energy that it took to extract resources from the ground, the amount of energy that it took in the factory to make the things. So usually we would say that, an iPhone takes more energy, so therefore it has a higher price. And then again, the means of exchange, we use it as a way to simplify that barter system. Now, currency in the physical world and currency in the spiritual world works very similarly. In the physical world, we can exchange money for goods and goods and services can also be exchanged for money. And we can also exchange goods and services for other goods, but everything has to be exchanged. It has to be converted into a different form. So if I have a tree on my land and I want to build a boat, I have to chop down the tree and I have to cut the tree into boards and I have to shape the boards and I have to build the boat. So I have to convert the tree into the boat, right? So that's an example of a good being converted into a different type of good through the application of service or labor, through the application of doing something. So that's an example of a conversion. If I want to buy a house, maybe I have a tree on my land, but I don't want the tree there, I want a house there. So I cut down the tree, I sell the lumber, I take the money that I got from selling the lumber and I go and I buy bricks and I pay a construction worker to build a house with the bricks, right? So I know this is very simplistic, but in the physical world, this is how this works, is that we use money as a way to exchange goods and services. And you can also do goods and services exchange without money by using the barter system. And the same is true in the spirit world. And in the spirit world, what we call money is what we would refer to as spiritual energy. What we call spiritual energy, that's their form of currency. And just like money is for us, they can exchange that for goods and services. They can convert that back and forth, just like we can exchange cash. That's like their version of cash, is the stuff that we call spiritual energy. And it is convertible from one form to another. So how do we get money in the physical realm? So we talked about how we can exchange goods for money and we can exchange services for money, because in order to get money in the physical world, we have to exchange, we have to convert something. We can convert goods or services. And of course, labor is a form of service. So if I go to work and I work and then my boss pays me, so I am providing my labor. And my labor is a service that I am providing. So I'm offering a service and exchanging the service for money. Most of us work for somebody else. So labor is a form of service. So that's how we usually get money in the physical world. how much money do we have in the physical world? Now, this is actually really important. You know how we talked earlier, money is a way to measure energy and value, and money is a means of exchange. So these are the three things that money is: energy, value, exchange. This is important, okay? This is super important if you ever want to do money magic. So first off, money is a way to measure energy. So if I want more money, I might go and offer more energy to attain more money. So maybe I go get a second job, or maybe I work overtime. Um, Maybe I just work really, really hard and get a raise, right? Um, so in some cases, you can offer more energy in exchange for more money. Money is also a way to measure value. In some cases, the money that we receive is tied to the relative value that our service or our labor or that our goods have in the marketplace. So, for example, the collector edition of the PlayStation, whatever number we're on, I don't know. Um, you know, when that is in a shortage, the relative value of that in the marketplace goes up, and so therefore the price of that goes up, right? The marketplace values it more if there's a shortage of it. Our value, the value that we get for our labor, is tied to how much our employer is willing to pay for it, to how much value the employer thinks that we are worth. And so part of this is, obviously if you like have a higher degree or if you go out and get some additional training, then maybe your value to your employer goes up. It has to be pointed out here, and this is super important. The relative value of our goods or services may be artificially inflated or deflated if the marketplace is rigged or unfair, and in these cases, we may be subject to an unfair exchange rate. And here's what that means. If the marketplace was completely fair, totally fair, no interference, Adam Smith's invisible hand of the market, all this stuff, our goods and services would be valued fairly. There is not a single economy on the face of the planet that is completely unrigged. They're all rigged to a greater or lesser extent. There's government programs that pay for this and a government program that penalizes you for that, and government regulations here and government regulations there and whatever. And I'm not going to argue about whether government regulations are good or bad, because sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But the point is that the game is rigged. And in some cases, in some countries or some cities or some jurisdictions, the game is rigged so that your labor is artificially inflated. So maybe the place that you live, you have a minimum wage that is higher than what the market would ordinarily have it at. Okay? Maybe you live in some place where the market would put your wage at $12 an hour. But the minimum wage, according to the law, is $15 an hour, right? So in this case, your wage is artificially inflated by $3 an hour. On the other hand, maybe the market would put your wage at $12 an hour, but maybe the government has programs like food stamps or Medicaid or something like that, so that people can work for the company here and then get government benefits to make up the difference in salary. So in that case, your wage is artificially deflated, right? The point I'm making here is that wherever you are, your wage is probably rigged one way or the other. And it's not really important which way it's rigged. It's important that you understand that it's rigged. So the exchange rate, piece of this puzzle is actually very important. So don't get upset or don't get down. If you feel like you are worth more than you're being paid, you probably are. Sometimes the exchange rate piece of money does not directly tie to the value piece of money. It should, but it doesn't always. In fact, in most cases, it doesn't. So sometimes the money that you're making in the physical world is tied more to an unfair exchange rate than it is to your actual value. But these are the basic principles. Money is about energy, it's about value, it's about exchange. So one of these three things is what is keeping you from making more money. You either don't have enough energy to give, you don't have enough value to give, or you can't get the exchange rate higher. That's what's keeping you from making more money. One of these three things. Now I want to talk to you about something called the tourist credit. This is super important because this is where we really unlock some really fun stuff. Okay? When you are a native of the realm, you are subject to all the trade laws. When you are a tourist, you're not. See, we are not natives of the spiritual realm. So we can convert spiritual energy anytime we want. And you have to learn how to do it. I mean, there is a technique. But we're not subject to the regulations. We can convert. Natives to the realm are subject to the limitations of that realm as they regard trade, and tourists aren't. We live in the physical realm, right? So we can't just like wish money into existence, right? That'd be great, wouldn't it? But spirits cannot just wish unlimited spiritual energy into existence. Just like money in our realm is subject to the laws of our economy, the spiritual energy for them is subject to the laws of their economy, right? So this is important. I can go into their economy and screw it up. They can come into my economy and screw it up, but we can't screw up our own economies. In practice, let's see how this works. A spirit being cannot convert the spiritual energy of a tree into the spiritual energy of a brick and use that tree directly to build his house. So basically like that would violate trade laws, right? So the spirit would have to chop down the tree and sell it for lumber, and then buy bricks, and then hire a bricklayer, and then build his house. As you can imagine, that takes time. There's exchange rates. There's, how many trees do you have to chop down to buy enough bricks to build a house, right? But a human can convert a tree directly into a house. So humans can build and create things in the spirit world, and we don't have the same limitations and constraints as spirits do. Now we are still limited because spiritual energy is spiritual energy, so we are still kind of limited. It's one-for-one exchange, right? But I want you to think about this because literally all things are energy, right? So all things. So you can use the energy of that tree, you can use the energy of that blade of grass, you can use the energy of the wind. Like, you have access to more pieces of energy than maybe is feasible, right? So that would be how it works. If you're a human going into the spirit world, like, you can build a house and you don't have to wait on contractors. You don't have to get estimates. You don't have to worry about exchange rates because you're the tourist. You get the tourist credit. Conversely, as a human, I cannot convert a cup of coffee into a car. But I can put a cup of coffee on my altar and I can ask Spirit to bring me a car. And I can say, I'm offering this to you, Spirit, if you will please bring me a new car. And then Spirit can consume the coffee and convert that coffee into a car. Because just like I can convert things in the spirit world, spirit can convert things in the physical world. This is the important thing. The more unfair the trade laws are, the more we need magic. And you remember earlier, one of the things that I said is I said that money as a means of exchange is pretty much not fair anywhere in the entire physical world. We understand that money is a way of measuring energy and money is a way of measuring value. And most of us are perfectly fine with putting in more energy or providing more value. The problem is that the means of exchange is not always fair. In fact, it's often very, very unfair. And when your trade laws are unfair, that's when you need magic. Because magic allows you to bypass your trade laws. I do a favor for spirit, spirit does a favor for me. I get a new car, spirit gets a new house. Both of us are happy. Both of us are enriched by the trade. Both of us are better off. We can both use the tourist credit to make both of our lives better. And this is why money magic, not really money magic, prosperity magic, can be so beneficial, especially when we're working with a rigged system. So I hope that this helps to explain a little bit better. I know this is very vague and it's kind of weird. This is a foundational piece of understanding how spirit and physical realm, how these exchange systems work. There are so many pieces of working with magic and working with spirit and working with exchange that are really hard to grasp. Once you grasp it, once you actually get like the theory behind it, it's really, really easy to move things around and to do the things that you want to do. So I hope that this helps, and I hope that this just provides a little bit of background the next time you need to do some prosperity workings. Thanks.